There's a white substance that's probably in your kitchen right now that you consume every day often without realizing it, and that a growing number of neurologists and researchers point to as one of the most important modifiable risk factors for the development of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Refined sugar and excess added sugar in the diet. Before continuing, I need to be honest with you from the first minute, because scientific honesty is what separates useful information from false alarm. Sugar is not the poison that causes Alzheimer's in an isolated, direct way. Alzheimer's is a multifactorial disease. It involves genetics, age, vascular factors, and many other elements. But among all the risk factors, there are some you cannot change, like age and the genes you inherited, and there are others you can change. And excess sugar consumption is, according to current science, one of the most relevant modifiable risk factors for long-term brain health. This video is about what science actually shows, without exaggeration and without false promise. Let's start with the concept that's changing how medicine understands Alzheimer's: the relationship between sugar, insulin, and the brain. In recent years, researchers began using a term that seems strange at first: type 3 diabetes, to refer to the hypothesis that Alzheimer's may have a strong connection to insulin resistance in the brain. It's not an official diagnosis, but it's a way to describe a body of evidence connecting sugar metabolism to brain health far more deeply than imagined. If you are not yet subscribed, click now on the subscribe button and turn on the bell. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from. Mechanism number 1: insulin resistance in the brain. Most people associate insulin only with blood sugar control, but insulin has important functions in the brain too. Neurons, especially those in the hippocampus, the central region for memory, have insulin receptors and depend on insulin signaling for functions like learning, memory formation, and neuronal survival. When a person consumes excess sugar chronically, over years, the body develops insulin resistance. Cells stop responding well to insulin, and blood sugar and insulin levels become chronically elevated. This insulin resistance isn't restricted to the body, it also affects the brain. When neurons become insulin resistant, they lose part of their ability to efficiently take up glucose, meaning that, paradoxically, even with plenty of blood sugar, neurons can become energy-starved. That cascade led researchers to speak of type 3 diabetes. Mechanism number 2: insulin resistance and beta-amyloid clearance. Beta-amyloid is a protein that accumulates in the brain of people with Alzheimer's, forming the so-called amyloid plaques. A healthy brain has mechanisms to clear beta-amyloid before it accumulates. And here's a crucial connection. The same enzyme the body uses to degrade insulin, called insulin-degrading enzyme, also participates in degrading beta-amyloid. When there's chronic excess insulin in the blood, due to insulin resistance, this enzyme is busy degrading insulin and has less capacity to degrade beta-amyloid. The result is that beta-amyloid accumulates more easily. Mechanism number 3: glycemic spikes, inflammation, and oxidative stress. Every time you consume refined sugar or fast-absorbing carbohydrates, blood sugar rises rapidly, a glycemic spike. Repeated glycemic spikes, day after day, year after year, generate two processes harmful to the brain: chronic low-grade inflammation and oxidative stress. Chronic inflammation is now recognized as one of the central processes in the development of neurodegenerative diseases. Oxidative stress damages cells, including neurons. The brain is particularly vulnerable because it consumes a lot of energy and has a high concentration of fats that can be oxidized. Tell me in the comments where you are watching. Turn on the bell. Mechanism number 4: advanced glycation end products, AGEs. When there's chronic excess blood sugar, sugar molecules bind to proteins and fats in a process called glycation, forming advanced glycation end products, known by the acronym AGEs. AGS damage proteins, impair cellular function, promote inflammation and oxidative stress, and are associated with accelerated tissue aging, including brain tissue. The more excess sugar over a lifetime, the more AGS form, and the greater the cumulative impact on tissues. The epidemiological evidence. Here's a figure that summarizes the importance of this connection. People with type 2 diabetes have approximately double the risk of developing dementia, including Alzheimer's, compared to people without diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is intimately linked to excess sugar and refined carbohydrate consumption over a lifetime. Large-scale studies found an association between elevated blood sugar levels and greater risk of cognitive decline and dementia, even in people who don't yet have diagnosed diabetes. The scientific honesty you need to hear. Now, the most important point of this video. Cutting sugar is not a guarantee you won't get Alzheimer's, and consuming sugar doesn't mean you will. Alzheimer's is multifactorial. Genetics, especially a gene called APOE4, carries significant weight. Age is the largest risk factor. Sugar is one piece of the puzzle, an important piece you can control, but not the only piece. So the correct message isn't sugar is the poison that causes Alzheimer's. It's reducing excess sugar is one of the smartest things you can do to reduce your modifiable risk and protect your brain's long-term health. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. What excess sugar means in practice. When we talk about sugar as a risk factor, we're not talking about the natural sugar in whole fruits, which come with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants that moderate absorption. We're talking mainly about refined added sugar, table sugar, sodas, industrial juices, sweets, cakes, cookies, sugary cereals, and the hidden sugar in ultra-processed products you'd never imagine contain sugar. Ready-made sauces, industrial breads, sweetened yogurts, cereal bars. The World Health Organization recommends that added sugar represent less than 10% of daily calories, and ideally less than 5%. Most people in modern societies consume far more than that, often without realizing it. How sugar hides in modern food. One of the biggest problems is that added sugar is present in a huge number of industrial products, often with names you don't recognize as sugar. On the ingredient list, sugar can appear as corn syrup, glucose syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin, sucrose, fructose, agave syrup, fruit juice concentrate, and dozens of other names. Manufacturers often split sugar into several different types, so none appears at the top of the list. Learning to read labels is one of the most useful skills for reducing hidden sugar consumption. The practical rule: the closer to the start of the ingredient list sugar appears, the more sugar the product contains. The practical action plan to protect the brain. Reducing excess sugar doesn't mean eliminating all food pleasure or going on radical diets. It means making sustainable changes over time. First, cut or drastically reduce sugary drinks. Sodas, industrial juices, and sweetened beverages are the largest source of added sugar for many people and the easiest to cut. Second, read labels and identify hidden sugar. Third, reduce refined carbohydrates, swapping white bread for whole grain, white rice for brown. Fourth, prefer whole fruits to juices. Fifth, build meals around proteins, healthy fats, and vegetables that stabilize blood sugar. Sixth, don't try to do everything at once. Gradual, sustainable changes have more long-term impact than radical restrictions you abandon in weeks. The other pillars of brain health. Reducing sugar is an important piece, but protecting the brain involves a set of mutually reinforcing habits. Regular physical activity is perhaps the most powerful factor. Exercise improves insulin sensitivity, increases cerebral blood flow, and stimulates neuronal growth factors. Quality sleep is essential because it's during deep sleep that the brain activates the glymphatic system and clears waste, including beta amyloid. Blood pressure control protects cerebral circulation. Cognitive and social stimulation keeps neural networks active. Treating hearing loss is one of the most important modifiable risk factors for dementia. All of this works together. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. Why it's never too early or too late to reduce sugar. A common question is, if I'm already 60, 70 years old and consumed sugar my whole life, is it still worth reducing? Science's answer is a categorical yes. The processes linking sugar to brain health, insulin resistance, inflammation, oxidative stress, are dynamic and respond to changes at any age. Improving insulin sensitivity, reducing inflammation, and decreasing oxidative stress brings benefits to the brain at any stage of life. Plus, reducing sugar also improves diabetes control, cardiovascular health, weight, and energy. Benefits that accumulate and protect the brain in multiple ways. It's never too early to start, and never too late to make a difference. Sugar versus sweeteners and refined carbohydrates. Many people ask if swapping sugar for sweeteners solves the problem. The answer is complex. Non-caloric sweeteners don't cause direct glycemic spikes, which can be useful for those who need to control blood sugar. But the best strategy isn't simply swapping sugar for sweetener, but rather reducing the taste for sweetness in general. Also, it's not just table sugar that matters. Refined carbohydrates like white bread, white rice, refined pasta, and white flour are also rapidly converted to glucose and generate glycemic spikes. A brain-protecting diet reduces both added sugar and excess refined carbohydrates. The Mediterranean diet and the mind diet. When it comes to diet and brain protection, two dietary patterns have the most robust scientific evidence: the Mediterranean diet and the mind diet, developed specifically for brain health. Both are rich in vegetables, whole fruits, whole grains, legumes, olive oil, fish, nuts, and low in added sugar and ultra-processed foods. Studies associated adherence to these patterns with lower risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Brain protection doesn't come from a single miracle food, but from a consistent dietary pattern over time. Final summary. Excess refined and added sugar is one of the most important modifiable risk factors for long-term brain health. The mechanisms are well established: cerebral insulin resistance that led to the type 3 diabetes concept, competition for the enzyme that degrades both insulin and beta amyloid, glycemic spikes that generate inflammation and oxidative stress, and AGEs that damage tissues. Epidemiology confirms type 2 diabetes approximately doubles dementia risk. But, and this is the central point, Alzheimer's is multifactorial, and sugar is one piece of the puzzle, not the only cause. Reducing excess sugar isn't a guarantee against Alzheimer's, but it's one of the smartest actions you can take to reduce your modifiable risk. Start with sugary drinks, read labels, reduce refined carbs, and combine this with exercise, quality sleep, and cognitive stimulation. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. Frequently asked questions about sugar and the brain. Does eating fruit harm the brain because of sugar? No. Whole fruit comes with fiber, water, vitamins, and antioxidants that moderate sugar absorption and protect health. The problem is added and refined sugar, not the natural sugar in whole fruits. Fruit juice, however, loses the fiber and behaves more like a sugary drink. Prefer whole fruit. Doesn't the brain need sugar to function? The brain needs glucose, yes, but it obtains it from any carbohydrate. You don't need to consume refined sugar to provide glucose to the brain. A balanced diet provides all the energy needed. If I stop eating sugar, will my memory improve immediately? The benefits are medium and long-term, linked to improved insulin sensitivity and reduced inflammation. Is sweetener better than sugar for the brain? Non-caloric sweeteners avoid glycemic spikes, but the best strategy is reducing the taste for sweetness in general. The detail of the type 3 diabetes mechanism. The type 3 diabetes concept emerged when researchers observed that the brain of people with Alzheimer's showed signs of insulin resistance similar to what occurs in type 2 diabetes, but localized in brain tissue. Brain insulin is crucial for memory. Studies showed that insulin signaling in the hippocampus is necessary for forming new memories. When that signaling fails due to insulin resistance, neurons lose energy efficiency and communication capacity. It's important to understand this concept doesn't mean Alzheimer's is diabetes. It means they share important metabolic mechanisms and that controlling sugar and insulin sensitivity is relevant for both conditions. Caring for your sugar metabolism is, in a very real sense, caring for your brain. The American context of brain health. The United States has high rates of type 2 diabetes and very high consumption of added sugar. Sugary drinks alone account for a large portion of added sugar intake. This makes the connection between sugar, diabetes, and brain health especially relevant for the American population. Reducing sugary drinks is probably the single most impactful intervention for metabolic and brain health. The CDC and major health organizations recognize added sugar reduction as a public health priority. Caring for sugar is caring for the brain. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. A final reflection on medical honesty. The internet is full of information promising that cutting a single food will prevent Alzheimer's or cure memory. This video differs in its honesty. No single food causes or prevents Alzheimer's. Excess sugar is a real and important modifiable risk factor with well-established mechanisms. Reducing it is a smart, grounded action, but it's part of a larger set of brain health care. Don't fall for miracle promises, but don't ignore real science either. The truth is balanced. Sugar matters, but it isn't everything. Care for your diet, your physical activity, your sleep, your cardiovascular health, and your mental stimulation. And you'll be doing the best science knows to protect your brain. How to start today. You don't need a radical transformation. Start with one change. If you drink sodas or sugary juices daily, that's your first target. Replace them with water with lemon, or unsweetened tea. Just that change can significantly reduce your added sugar intake. The following week, read the labels of 3 products you consume regularly and discover how much hidden sugar they contain. The following month, swap one refined carbohydrate for its whole grain version. Small, sustained changes, accumulated over years, have an enormous impact. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. A risk factor you can control, well-established scientific mechanisms, and an honest message. Reduce excess sugar not as a magic cure, but as one of the smartest actions to protect your brain long-term. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. Why brain health deserves the same attention as heart health. For decades, public health campaigns have emphasized protecting the heart, reducing salt, managing cholesterol, controlling blood pressure. Brain health deserves the same level of attention, especially as populations age and dementia becomes more prevalent. The encouraging news is that many of the same habits protect both heart and brain. What's good for your blood vessels is good for your neurons. Reducing excess sugar is a perfect example. It benefits metabolic health, cardiovascular health, and brain health simultaneously. When you reduce sugary drinks, read labels, and choose whole foods over refined ones, you're not making a sacrifice for some distant benefit. You're investing in energy, mood, weight, heart, and brain all at once. The science of brain health is no longer just about treating disease after it appears. It's increasingly about prevention through everyday choices. And among those choices, managing your relationship with sugar is one of the most powerful and most within your control. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. A note on the glycemic load over a lifetime. One way to understand the cumulative impact of sugar is to think about glycemic load over decades rather than a single meal. A person who consumes excess sugar from childhood through old age subjects their body and brain to thousands upon thousands of glycemic spikes, each contributing a small amount of inflammation, oxidative stress, glycation, and insulin demand. Over a lifetime, these small insults accumulate. This is why the timing of reducing sugar matters less than the consistency. Someone who reduces sugar in middle age still meaningfully lowers their cumulative future glycemic load, and someone who does it in older age reduces ongoing damage and improves current metabolic health. The brain is remarkably resilient and responsive to positive change. Every glycemic spike you avoid is one less small insult to your neurons. Viewed this way, reducing sugar isn't about a single heroic effort. It's about shifting the daily pattern in a direction that, repeated thousands of times over the years ahead, adds up to meaningful protection. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. Bringing it all together. Let's recap the core message clearly. The brain depends on healthy insulin signaling for memory and cognition. Chronic excess sugar drives insulin resistance, which impairs that signaling and reduces beta amyloid clearance. Repeated glycemic spikes fuel inflammation and oxidative stress, and chronic high blood sugar forms, AGEIs, that damage tissues including the brain. Epidemiologically, type 2 diabetes roughly doubles dementia risk, but Alzheimer's remains multifactorial. Genetics, age, and many other factors play their part. Sugar is a controllable piece, not the whole picture. So the wise response is neither panic nor dismissal, but informed action. Reduce excess added sugar and refined carbohydrates, start with sugary drinks, read labels, prefer whole foods, and combine this with exercise, quality sleep, blood pressure control, hearing care, and cognitive engagement. This is the evidence-based path to protecting your brain. Not a magic cure, a smart, sustainable set of choices made consistently over the years. Your future self will thank you. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time, with more evidence-based health information, take care of your brain. It's irreplaceable. Reduce sugar, move your body, sleep well, stimulate your mind. The science of brain health is clear and within your reach. Start today, start small, and be consistent. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time. Sugar matters, but it isn't everything. Care for yourself holistically and protect your mind for the years ahead. Good brain health to all. Until next time, with more health science. Start with the sugary drinks. It's the easiest change and the highest impact. Your brain will thank you in the years to come. God bless you and give you much health. Your future brain depends on the choices you make today. Take care of yourself and your mind. Until next time, be well and protect your mind. Until next, take care. Bye.